It's Jossie of loveisflowing.com, and I was just sitting here having a delicious homemade meal and some wonderful tea, thinking and feeling inspired to make a video about nutrition and food and homemade meals and food budget. So I'm going to do that. Just a little bit about my background. So I did go to nutrition school years back, and I used to be a nutrition coach part-time for a while. I moved away from that because it just wasn't the right fit anymore for various reasons, but I still really love nutrition. I love food. I love cooking and making meals, and I've just had, nutrition has been a big part, along with many other things, of a big part of my wellness journey. And wellness really is my passion, mind, body, spirit, wellness. So it's an exciting topic to talk about. It's one of those, nutrition is one of those health foundations, right? Like one of the real basics, going along with exercise and sleep. Exercise, sleep, nutrition, those are kind of like the three foundational things to body health that people often acknowledge, and many of us overlook the importance of, or have various issues or obstacles around them, or some of us are doing great. Like I feel really good about my nutrition after years of trial and error, feel good about a lot of my wellness stuff. And then there's other areas that I continue that aren't as weak, that are weaker than others, and I continue to improve. But anyway, so back on topic about nutrition. Where should I start? Well, I used to have really, 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 really poor nutrition. Growing up, it was just eat what's fed to me, and my family had, I guess, some understanding of nutrition, not what I would say is that great. There were some unhealthy patterns there, I would say, but yeah, I'm grateful to have been privileged enough to grown up in a family where I never worried about having enough food, really, and I always had pretty nice meals given to me, but I didn't really learn how to cook. I don't know, somehow that just didn't really happen that much. And so what happened is, gosh, there's so much I could say here. I'm trying to think what to go into. Just to keep it brief, I had some issues, some health issues as a teenager and into my 20s. I'm 33 now, and some of them, as I look back, really were pretty related to nutrition. That wasn't the only thing off, but that was a big piece that I've noticed through the years as I've started improving my nutrition. My overall well-being has just so dramatically changed to the point I'm at now, which is, I feel like, a really reasonably healthy, happy person who still has, some days are better than others and some struggles and things like that, but for the most part I feel really good, and I've experienced so much healing, and I'm happy about where things are at. In the past, it was not always like that. As a teenager, I had times when I dealt with depression, dealt with anxiety, dealt with just being so scattered at times to the point where you could kind of call it, I guess if you wanted to frame it this way, you could call it like ADD type stuff. I had some anger issues at times, have a little bit of some occasional abusive type situations in my past, and so there's a trauma of that involved, and just different things like that, which I've healed so much of that, and it's great, and I'm going to keep on healing things even more. But so as far as how nutrition worked into all that. Man, first off, sometimes unfortunately you gotta for you to pay attention to something. It needs to get to a bad point. It's nice to just be preventative and not let it get to that point. But for me, nutrition wasn't something I thought about really, or food wasn't anything I really particularly put any thought into it at all. I had zero interest in cooking. That sounded like just annoying and not fun. What happened was when I went off to my first college at 17, off living on my own, it just all blew up. A lot of things just kind of fell apart in a way for me. It wasn't a good college fit, and my self-care was not very healthy. I didn't really particularly know how to take care of myself very well, and one of the ways that showed up was with food. I mean, the stuff I would eat at that time was like, good Lord, like, oh, maybe I'll go to Taco Bell and grab a little something that isn't filling enough, and maybe if I think of it, I'll grab some soda if there's some in the fridge after that, and oh, I'm hungry. How about, oh, there's some chips, there's some cheese. I'll stick them in the microwave together and have a gross, cheap version of nachos. That was the diet. There was no thought of fruits and vegetables and vitamins and minerals and enough calories. Some people's issue is overeating. I was very much undereating. I was really underweight at the time. I went to the doctor at one point and was like, I feel like I'm underweight and not healthy. Can you help me? And he was very unhelpful. So, anyway, so fast forwarding, eventually through the years, I just somehow made the connection that health issues I was experiencing, which then after that went on to include times of when I was at another college in Chicago, times of just such exhaustion. I noticed there was just so little energy throughout the day, and I would get headaches sometimes, and I would body aches. I would have really uncomfortable muscle aches, just things like that. And a lot of it, honestly, really was related to, a lack of overall self-care, a lack of understanding wellness and healing and trauma and stuff like that. But really, one crucial piece was nutrition. So what ended up happening is I ended up going to nutrition school, inspired by this wonderful woman that I met. She's awesome. Her name is Eve, and she's a nutrition coach. She basically kind of taught me some basics of cooking. I was in such a frazzled state and in a really bad relationship and just in a bad place at the time when I met her. And somehow, I was drawn to connect with this woman and drawn to take the nutrition piece more seriously. I'd been on medications and things, and I was starting somehow, got it in my head, and even my parents helped get in my head, hey, maybe we should think in terms of vitamins and minerals and nutrients, not just where's a pill to cover all this stuff up. So this led me to meeting Eve. I remember standing in her kitchen and her just showing me the simplest of meals, but at the time it was groundbreaking. You can take a can of beans and some kale, and that's what kale is, and that's how you cut kale, and maybe take some tomatoes and you cook it up like that, and look at all this fresh food. And it was just oh my God, I would eat this stuff and it just tasted so deeply nourishing. Oh my God, the feeling when you start really paying attention to your food, and the colors and the shapes and the textures and the whole art project that it is to cook and prepare a meal, which I love now. I can't believe I wasn't into that for so many years. It's just so exciting. And I remember her having this raw food dinner party where we all got together and each contributed, making a little simple addition to this big raw vegan taco dinner. And we had this delicious raw vegan taco dinner, which is a totally new concept to me. Vegan, raw, making tacos in this way, colorful, having fun with food. This was just a whole new world that opened up. And I left that party feeling so damn good. Just my body felt like it was something it was missing, which it was, but I physically felt that, you know. So these are the sorts of moments that started to have an impact on me. What's that? Another one was when I was there in Chicago, just all, you know, like poor self-care, not in good health, you know, having fun, but just not in good health. Very not in touch with myself or centered or grounded or anything like that. I remember taking a yoga class. I was a dance major for a short time at that time, and going to art school, and so as part of that I was like, oh, I'll try yoga. I guess I've heard of yoga. Thank goodness somehow that got on my radar. I took this yoga class every day, would take a yoga class, and that's another thing that gets off topic. That's not about nutrition, but it was amazing, and I just felt so high, you know, walking out of that yoga class each day. Like, my God, it woke up new things in my body and my system. And I remember there being a girl in that class who just seemed so vibrant and healthy and glowing, and she was really into like raw food, and she would like get her produce shipped from Hawaii and all this, and this was all new to me. There's just something that caught my eye about that. And I remember starting to pay a little more attention to, oh, there's different restaurant options, not just like whatever diners in front of me, but like, hey, maybe, you know, try out this healthier restaurant, and going there and noticing, wow, that I feel really good after eating there, things like this. Other pivotal moments. There was a moment when I was living in Tacoma Park, which is this cool little hippie town near DC, and again, still not in the best of health at that time, just doing my thing, and it was the middle of winter, and it was kind of like snowy, and that was sort of hard on me, and I ate all these oranges, and it was like, holy crap, just the way the oranges made me feel. I was like, again, walking around high that day, like high on nutrition. It's amazing when you start just noticing these things. And I mean, it's not like throughout my whole life, it's not like I had never eaten fruit or eaten a vegetable or had a salad or anything, but it was just a lack of awareness around it, and just not paying attention or not noticing. Like, if I were to really think back through the years, and if you were to think back through the years, you may realize, like, hey, when I eat a big salad with lots of greens in it, I feel really good. And if I eat like a huge, heavy steak dinner or something like that, or like a ton of chips and a bunch of like Pepsi or something like that, I don't feel so good. You know, like, you're starting to notice these things. Anyway, so I ended up, story is all kind of out of order. I'm talking fast to try to fit a lot into a video, but at some point, you know, inspired by Eve, I ended up going to the nutrition school in New York, Institute for Integrative Nutrition, which I don't know if they do this anymore, but at the time involved in-person lectures, which was really cool. So like once or twice a month, I would take the bus up there to New York, stay with friends, and attend these lectures by you know, very well-renowned people in various nutrition experts from around the world. The whole point of that school is to take all of the main dietary theories and present them all to you, and then basically let you decide from there which one of those works best for you, with the belief that there's no one perfect diet for every one person, that it's a personal thing, and you just kind of are given the information and see that for every diet there's a bunch of people who love it, and you just try things from there. So that was really cool, and led to years of me trying some different things. I started out into the body ecology diet, and I would like do that to the letter and help people with that, and that was really cool. I learned some things from that. I tried some other things. What ended up resonating the most for me, for whatever reason, I just kept having signs pointing me towards it, and it just started feeling more and more natural and of interest to me, was to become vegan. It didn't happen overnight. It was something like little things would plant a seed in my head about it, and I started noticing just little things people would say or people I would meet, or it just got in my head somehow. And then what really did it was I sat down at one point, and I also started noticing there's this big online community about vegans and people really into the raw food community, and just like that just seemed really super high on life and excited about it, and like, you know, just a whole big exciting thing, a whole big vibrant subculture. And like, you know, I would have some experiences, like I would go to this big raw food festival, and notice, you know, the cool people I would meet there, and, you know, so there's little experiences like that. But what ended up happening is I watched a documentary called Earthlings, and it's a documentary about slaughterhouses and about the reality of the what animals like this every day, by thousands, by millions, I don't even know, go through. They're just like murdered so you can eat a burger that tastes good for 2 seconds, and isn't that great for your body, right, Beanie? It's disgusting. It's barbaric. It's disgusting. It's just something that's been going on under my nose this whole time, and I never thought about it. I was just like eating a hot dog and not thinking that was an adorable pig that was tortured for the sake of me getting to eat a hot dog. You know, this stuff I just didn't know. It just wasn't on my radar. So, right, beans? So, I watched Earthlings, and I sat there, I sobbed through the entire thing as I watched. You know, it has like the soundtrack by Moby, and it goes into all of it. I just sat there like was in shock, you know, watching this horrible but true hard reality to swallow of just animals being murdered and tortured needlessly, when you could just as easily be eating vegan, and it's well known, well proven now that vegan, when done correctly, I stress when done correctly, can very much be a diet that humans can thrive on. Anyway, so right after that, boom, it was easy. It wasn't hard. Sometimes people talk about like going vegan, like they think it would be this absolutely huge sacrifice and so incredibly difficult, and oh my god, I'll miss steak every second of the day. I mean, okay, I acknowledge that for some people that could be the reality. It depends on what diet you're coming from and what not, but I came from a very standard American diet, eating lots of dairy, lots of meat all the time, and I just, unless I'm remembering wrong, I just found it really easy. It was just so motivating to see, and it's such a no-brainer for me after I saw that documentary, and I wanted to feel better, and I was starting to get that itch for health, like I was starting to get that passion that since then has developed into just like this massive passion in me for health. So immediately, you know, I went and I threw out all my leather belts and my leather shoes, and just, yeah. So there was definitely a learning curve, though. It wasn't the easiest thing in the world, because after that there is a period of education, you know, where there's a lot of information out there on how to do veganism. There's not just one vegan diet. There's all these different denominations, that's not the right word, different styles of doing the vegan diet. Even within the raw vegan diet, there's a lot of different styles of the raw vegan diet. So, gosh, I'm already almost at 20 minutes for this video, so I don't have time to go into really all the different types of vegan diets out there and what I learned. But long story short, just to come full circle with this video, what ended up happening is I got really into the raw vegan thing, specifically the fruit-based raw vegan thing, which is all about, it's like an 80-10-10 style. It's based around this book called The 80-10-10 Diet. For for the most part, and it's all about like getting tons of calories from fruit, and often like eating lots of bananas, and some people will only eat fruit, which is I do not recommend. But for the most part, they also involve a lot of greens and nuts and seeds. But it's very purist. It's very like, a lot of times they're like, oh, don't even have herbs, like herbal tea. You wouldn't have something like that. You don't eat mushrooms. Don't eat eggplants. Like it gets somewhat restrictive depending which style you follow. It can be pretty restrictive. But yeah, so I tried that on and off for years, and even lived in some communities with people who are into it, and I got a lot of wonderful things out of it. I really did. I got a whole new appreciation for food. Great stuff. So I'm feeling a little rushed here because I don't want the video to get too long, but there's so much I could say. Maybe I'll do a part 2. But long story short, that ended up not being the long-term fit for me. I ended up opening my mind into other ways of thinking, and ended up coming to where I'm at now, which feels really good to me, which is I'm still vegan. I've been basically long-term vegan now. What has it been, 6-7 years or something now? I expect to always be vegan. I see no reason to ever stop being vegan. And but I now incorporate a lot of cooked foods, and I don't just incorporate them, I enjoy incorporating them. For a while it was like, okay, I'm eating cooked foods, but just because that's what I feel like right now, and eventually I'll get back to the ideal of 100% raw, because that's ideal. But I no longer believe that. I at this point, and this may change, I always stay open, but at this point I really solidly feel like there's nothing wrong with enjoying lots of cooked food. Raw is great, but it's great to have some cooked food too, and it's not there's not a problem with that. And I love restaurants, and I love eating herbs, and I even use things that I used to be way too strict to use. Like I'll even have like some garlic and some oil and some once in a while maybe some salt, or just different things. Back to tofu, back to beans. Man, I miss beans, and I don't mean Beanie, my dog. I mean, beans are like, oh man, that protein, to eat some beans, I don't know about you, it just feels so satiating, so good to me. And for a while I was under the whole raw food guise of beans are awful, they're so awful, grains are so awful, every type of grains is so awful. So I'm just not that extreme or strict anymore. I just love my relationship with food. There's plenty more I could say, but I just don't want the video to be too long, so I'll wrap it up here. Let me know what you think. If you have any questions, I likely will do at least one other video on nutrition in the future. As far as the health benefits it's given me, just so much. It brings me a lot of joy too. I absolutely love cooking. I love the whole culture and the ritual and the fun and the creativity and the taste. The taste is so good around cooking. And fixing up a meal for somebody or with somebody, and just having so much joy in that, and not like some sort of scarcity of like worrying so much about every little thing. I mean, I never really was like that. I never was anorexic or things that other people deal with. But yeah, some people just worry so much about like calories and everything, and it just becomes this whole stressful thing, right? Like, and that's just not healthy. So I'll wrap it up for now. That was a good start, and have fun with food, and open your mind to new possibilities if your food situation just isn't working well for you, or if you intuitively or physically can tell, or even logically can tell that it's an area that could really help your health and your well-being and just your overall pleasure in life. It's a great way to connect with people too. Oh my gosh, just fun dinner parties and potlucks, and cultures around food and different traditions and, oh my gosh, different ethnicities. Yeah, oh, it's just so much fun. You can do all of that within the vegan thing. I personally really love veganism. I love it so much. I don't talk about it tons because I don't want to come across pushy, but I love it, and there's so many benefits to it on so many levels beyond just personal health. That's it for now. Thanks for watching. Talk to you later.